in Tigray, Ireland is a very popular name, not only because of the long-standing relations and your presence and support in Tigray over the last decades, but very recently, the fact that Ireland has showed a consistent principled position in sticking out in promoting the cause of Tigray when Tigray was undergoing serious devastation as a result of this genocidal war, and that you took up the cause of Tigray several times over in the Security Council is something every Tigrayan here or in the diaspora cherishes. And of course, you have been a permanent presence. You have had a permanent presence in our rehabilitation efforts since the signing of the Pretoria Agreement as well, and the diverse activities that the Irish have been involved in, including all the way from humanitarian aid through to development aid, is also quite significant. And it gives me a pleasure, of course, to once again welcome you here and exchange views with Mr. Ambassador here. And I hope and expect you to continue the tradition of Irish ambassadors. Ireland happens to be the only country which has more or less permanent representation here. Welcome once again.
Thank you so much. And I'm here with Mary Healy, who's our Deputy Head of Cooperation, who knows many of you, and also with Tamadaj from our office here, and with Tesfai as well. So thank you very much. It's my first time in Tigray. I've been in Ethiopia for 5 or 6 months now, and I'm hoping to see a lot of this fantastic country, but I'm very pleased in particular to be here today. I appreciate that this is a busy time for you and a difficult time in many ways, but it's very important for us to come here and to engage with our long-standing partners on development and humanitarian assistance, of course, but also to engage with you and to hear your perspectives. This region has suffered a terrible conflict here, and I think I've arrived last night, and I think I see some of the challenges ahead of you and ahead of this country in rebuilding. And so I'm here to listen to your perspectives and to understand how Ireland can continue to engage in Ethiopia as a whole, but also here in Tigray. So thank you.
There are a number of issues which continue to haunt us. Here we have hundreds of thousands of people, IDPs, who have yet to be resettled, who have yet to be returned where they belong. It's long overdue. There are conditions in IDP camps is very difficult, to say the least. The lack of humanitarian aid, medical supplies, and the kind of squalid conditions they live in honestly makes it virtually impossible for us to focus on any other issues. The rehabilitation and recovery efforts in Tigray have all but been stalled. What little resources there are available honestly can barely scratch the surface, because the amount of destruction that happened in Tigray and the enormity of the challenge we continue to face as a result cannot be matched by the kind of meager resources that are available at this point in time. We're still focused on ensuring the resuscitation of social services, health and education, agriculture, food security, and all those areas are also of paramount importance here. I know the Irish government has been supportive in all endeavors here, but the kind of destruction that's been wrought on Tigray when it comes to health facilities, educational facilities, and even agriculture infrastructure has been quite enormous. So, in light of the enormity of the destruction that we have witnessed, the number of or the amount of support that we have been receiving is quite insignificant. But in areas where, for example, the Irish have been active in healthcare, in agriculture, in education, small as I say is beautiful. There is a consistency there. But still, despite efforts here and there, the political situation in Tigray also leaves so much to be desired, although it's something we hope and expect to be resolved within ourselves. I know there have been a constant barrage of information, misinformation, disinformation that paints a rather ugly picture. But hopefully we'll be able to address the challenge. Even the enormity of the challenge requires that we all put our heads together, not engage in all kinds of bickering that distracts attention away from what matters most in Tigray, which is of course the rehabilitation of people. But like I say, the most important focus for us right now is the return of IDPs. Pretoria, the implementation of Pretoria is going to be nothing without the return of IDPs to where they belong. And there is a distinct possibility of relapse into conflict, because the kind of hopelessness, the kind of despair that our people continue to face in the face of our failure to return our IDPs. We're talking about 1 million plus people. And the fact that the situation on the ground and the access to humanitarian aid at the very least leaves so much to be desired, simply makes it almost unbearable. So, the political situation in Tigray has been extremely affected by the fact that we have failed to make significant progress in this area. Otherwise, we still continue to see progress in many areas. In health, my colleagues could chip in. Agriculture, education, and I would like to once again thank the Irish government for their principled position in this regard. But the decline in the amount of resources being made available for humanitarian aid and for other relevant activities is also going to be going to usher in a very difficult chapter in Tigray, where we have to struggle to make ends meet. Of late, the number of people who depend on humanitarian aid is still intact, but the amount of resources that are being made available are paltry at best. So, my fear is in many areas we'll continue to face even more significant pressure because of lack of resources. But at least in the case of your support in health, in agriculture, and in education, local representatives, local operators are involved, and of course that you try as best you can to avoid parallel structures in implementing projects is something that's commendable. As far as concerned. I don't want to delve much into the political situation here. All I can say is that we have had some rough ride, and the political actors in Tigray, unfortunately, have not been as generous towards the issue of resolving our differences peacefully, and sometimes we seem to pay less attention to the cause of the people than the kind of petty squabbles that inform most of our wrangling. I just generally wanted to walk you through the challenge here.
As well to hear from you and to hear about many of the things that you've mentioned this morning, the implementation of the COHA, etc. So just to pass my thanks on behalf of the embassy and of course on behalf of my predecessor. Thank you for what you've said there and for setting out some of the challenges that you're facing and challenges that we see also elsewhere. It's clear that there's a mountain to climb, and you mentioned the people of this region and neighbouring regions as well, and the impact of conflict on them, on personal, social, economic, and I'm beginning to get the opportunity to meet some of those people, and I can only agree with you that what is needed is unified leadership focused on recovery. So thank you for your words on that, and we obviously as Ireland, we urge you to look for ways forward, but to maintain a focus, of course, on the people of this region who have and neighbouring regions who have suffered. As you know, Ireland also supports national level processes like the national dialogue, and a lot of that is informed, of course, by our own experience of conflict, and I'm sure you have heard this before, so I won't go into any length on it, but the importance of staying at tables cannot be underestimated in our experience, and I can only wish you strength for the period ahead to make sure that you are in the best position to help with the recovery in this here and elsewhere, and I think that is something that I'm looking forward to engaging with the Bureaus of Agriculture and Health and Education, as you introduced earlier, because we have this long history here of engaging. I think 30 years we've been here, but also Irish NGOs have been here longer as well, and for much of the work and the progress that has made in this region, not just by us, but by the regional administration and of course other partners, was set back and remains under threat, as you say, because not just of the conflict, but also the ongoing need to resolve issues, to return IDPs, and thank you for setting out some of the challenges around that. Our engagement here, our funding in this country has remained the same throughout the last few years. It's our largest bilateral partner, Ethiopia, and within that we support a number of regions, but we have a programme here still. It's different to what it was, but we have a very significant investment in humanitarian needs through our UN partners, which we think is a solid investment in the things you're talking about, in IDP return and in creating dignified conditions for people who have suffered because of conflict, and we're working with the Bureau of Agriculture on a livelihoods program at the moment, which is sort of a new one for us, but I think given the role of the Bureau in recovery, etc., we feel this is an important working alongside that. And we're also working with victims of sexual and gender-based violence and supporting the Women's Association of Tigray and others, because I think there are real and ongoing needs that are an important part of the puzzle to resolve in moving the region forward. I think what you also mentioned, the process of DDR, of demobilization, and that's something, of course, that we're engaged with through our EU membership. And I would hope that there might be more progress in this area, and would be interested as well to know what you think further blockages might be. And when we talked about resources and the political situation, do you see much hope for optimism in the area of DDR in the next year?
As la curabet, the most pressing concern that we have with regard to the implementation of the COHA is, and the most significant and the most difficult and intractable one, is the issue of return of IDPs. But you are right. The issue of disarmament, demobilization, and reintegration at this point in time should come front and center. And as you probably have heard, we did launch in December the first phase of the DDR process, and about 75,000 combatants were slated to be demobilized. And unfortunately, there was some cog in communication, and a little bit of misunderstanding between the federal government officials and our people here. So there was an interruption of the process, but we have agreed with the federal government for the DDR program to go ahead. And the misunderstanding wasn't very difficult to address. Honestly, as much as I would blame some of the officials in the federal government, I'd also say there was also an equally there was an equal measure of failure on our part as well. So we have decided to resolve the difference, and of course we have no choice but to continue implementing the DDR program. So I think there is a delay in the launch of the second phase of the program, which was supposed to be launched around February. Obviously, we still have to pick up wherever we left off last December. So definitely we'll be back in the implementation work, because we have about 274,000 combatants. Even in the worst of circumstances, Tigray doesn't need that many security force to address whatever challenge it comes this way. We have tens of thousands of wounded, and they need to be resettled. We have thousands of female combatants that need to be rehabilitated and reintegrated society. So it's not a matter of choice, but a matter of absolute necessity and imperative that we really embark on this DDR process. And it's my hope and expectation that whatever misunderstandings there have been between the federal government and the Tigray interim administration are being resolved, and will definitely be resolved, and will pick up wherever we left off. That's for sure.